Well, as you know, the weekend has just begun. It's going to be so chaotic this weekend. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing ChocoPro 317. We're going to have an amazing main event that has, of course, the tag team titles defended for the first time by Shin Suzuki and Chonchiru. This is their first defense. Now, keep in mind, they did not win these tag team titles fair. They were handed over to them as soon as they realized that Chris Brooks was injured. And then we move on with the latest GLEAT show, G Pro Wrestling version 55. We're going to see some interesting developments. Now, keep in mind, there's been developments with the faction Bulk Orchestra, and of course, we have some matches. There'll be more of previews to come for the next upcoming event, version 6. And then finally, we ended with AEW Collision. We're going to see, of course, FTR, CM Punk, and Ricky Starks take on Bullet Club Gold and the Ass Boys themselves. But we're also curious to see who is Sting and Darby Allin's partner against Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki. But also, we got a couple of news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with the latest ChocoPro show 317. Now, for the record, to make note for everybody, Mei Suga and Balinaki are not present. They're currently here in the States. As you know, they participated in the DPW Tag Festival. So that's the reason why they were there. So, however, opening the show was none other than Too Much Energy Chiko Shikawa. So I have no clue what she said, but I'm sure everything was very well. However, they started out with an exhibition match with Nonoka taking on Chi. Now, this is the first time that Nonoka faces off. The last few times she has exhibition match against Mei Suga, so this is going to be a much different test that she's been in. However, this match did not go anywhere as we expected. It ended in a time limit draw, and I finally looked up the number. It was 3 minutes. But we know Nonoka will grow up eventually, learned a lot, and I'm sure she'll be making her debut very soon. Now, our opening match, we have a three-way. We have Tokiko Kirihara versus Koriyama Yonoyama and Masahiro Takanashi. Now, this is a much interesting match because, as you know, Masahiro Takanashi, we know he can be a bit more crafty, more slick, and clever than he is. But Coyote Yonoyama is a very high speedster. You know for a fact she'll figure out a way to overcome the match. But, however, it was, of course, Yonoyama with the O'Connor role that allowed her to pick up the win. And I'm sure Masahiro Takanashi was not happy with the idea not winning the match, even though he didn't lose. That was Tokiko who ended up getting the fall. Now, our next match, we got the members of Colors, Yuko Sakurai and Saki, taking on Sayaka and Sayaka Obihiro. Very confusing. Two Sayakas, you know? I mean, but I'll just go by Obihiro's last name instead as a first name to keep tabs. Now, you know Obihiro, she's the toughest one of them all. I know Sayaka has been growing so much, but however, the experience that Saki and Yuko have together as a team, but also part of being freelancers, has grown them as well. But it was Saki with the amazing submission onto Sayaka to force her to say give up, giving them the win. Now, on record here, Saki actually left immediately as soon as her match was over. As you guys know, in Japan, some independent shows, they are double booked, which led to that. Now, Our main event, it features the Asian Dream Tag Team titles. We have, of course, the challengers, Minoru Fujita and Antonio Honda, becoming the first challengers to challenge Shun Shido and Shin Suzuki. Now, if you guys remember clearly, during a Got to Move show during the May Suga 5th anniversary, Chris Brooks got hurt. However, the titles were handed over. Instead of being vacant to have a tournament, they decided to hand these titles to Shun Shido and Shin Suzuki. But however, they were not satisfied with the fact that they were given these titles, but they know for a fact that they have to defend them regardless of who's coming. Now, the last time this happened, of course, Minoru Fujita teamed up with Suzuki. Fujita actually attacked them out of nowhere and declared that he will be challenging for these tag titles. So he did announce that Antonio Honda was his tag partner. Now, Honda is no secret, if you guys have been following ChocoPro, has made it his mission to try to win these titles, even though when he pinned one of the tag champions, it wasn't. The fact is that there was only one member of the winning team that was there, of the team they beat there. However, that wasn't the case. But however, you probably would have thought that that Honda, with his comedic ways, will try to see if there'd be an opportunity. But however, the teamwork between Sean and Shin has been very interesting. They have grown so much together. As you know, they have teamed up many times, but in the end, it was, of course, a somewhat of a coffin drop by Chonchiro to Honda to pick up the win, and they retain it. So this is their first victory. We'll see who will be the next ones yet. Now, as for our Jonkin tournament, I wasn't too sure how this was going to go. Sayaka seemed like she had everything, but no. But I can step up that it was Shin Suzuki and Yuko Sakurai who made it all the way to the finals, but it was Shin who won. I was like very disappointed because I was hoping Yuko Sakurai could win, because I know she could do it. I think that's pretty much it right now with ChocoPro. So let's move on with GLEAT. Alright, our latest GLEAT show, G Pro Wrestling version 55. This is the much recent show they just put out. Our opening match, we have the members of the Yans family, more consistent of Itse Onitsuka and Takanori Itu. They take on Black Generation International, consistent of El Bandito and Yutani. Now, keep in mind, Black Generation International have been trying to prove once and for all why they are right now the most current dominating unit in GLEAT. However, there's been other factions that would say they differ. But Jan's family is practically a brand new unit that was formed. But I have to say, puts the Jan's family to the test, because ever since Onitsuka joined, he has proven himself that he is a perfect fit for the unit. But however, since Black Generation International have proven why they are dominant, they were able to pick up the win when Bandito applied a shooting star press onto Ito. Was it Ito? No, it's on Itsuka, giving them the win. Now, our next match, we have singles action. We got Yu Izuka taking on, of course, the other member of the Yans family. We're talking about Yusuke Kodama. So I have to say, this was a pretty good match, in my opinion, to see Kodama does a singles match. It's been a while since I've seen one outside of GLEAT, but he was able to pick up a good win when he applied a very impressive frog splash, giving him the win that will definitely raise the spirits of the Yans family. Next up, we have a very interesting tag match. Well, it's the Yoshi wrestlers. We have Raiden Hagane and Yukari Hosokawa taking on Akari from Pure J and Unagi Sayaka. Now, keep in mind, Unagi has had teamed with many partners. Some were good, others were like, unlike Izuki Aoki, they're the ones that you probably gonna have a hard time trying to coexist. But I have to say, many people who watched this match believe that this was a pretty good one where she teams up with Akari. Even Unagi gave some good compliments about her on her Twitter page. But I have to say, it was a pretty good team. However, the end of this match showed how much Yukari Hosokawa wants to grow stronger, because there was one thing we know that Hosokawa has in mind. She hasn't forgotten how Michiko Miyagi abandoned her when she exiled herself out of GLEAT. And I'm sure Unagi will be there to ensure she gets that one victory she deserves to have. So, however, it was Unagi with a somewhat of a flatliner that allowed her to pick up the win, giving her and Akari the win. Next up, we have a very interesting singles match. We have the Chinese wrestler, what's his name again? Shunji, taking on Soma Watanabe. Pretty good match, I have to say. Now, keep in mind, Watanabe is the current #1 contender for the G-Rex titles, so anything could change for that. Now, if Junji actually was able to pick up the win, who knows if he will get the opportunity, the challenge for the G-Rex title. But Soma Watanabe was very impressive with the drop kick, was able to pick up the win. Next up, we got members of the Bulk Orchestra, Chek Shimatani and Ruchi Kawakami, taking on members of the Black Generation International. That includes Hartley Jackson and Flamita. Now, keep in mind, ever since Kawakami returned, Bulk Orchestra hasn't been itself recently. There's been questions about Kawakami's leadership since he was gone and then he came back. But, however, Chek and Kawakami were able to coexist. But, however, the strength of Hartley Jackson was way too much. But it was Flamita with the Phoenix Splash onto Chek to pick up the win. So that gives two winning matches by Black Generation International. As I said before, they're trying to prove they are the most dominating faction right now. Our next match, we have Seiichi Ikemoto, Minoru Tanaka, and Kaz Hayashi taking on the members from All Japan Pro Wrestling, the Voodoo Murders, consisting of Kono, Jun Saito, and Rei Saito. Now, you know that this is a very interesting matchup. Now, the Saito brothers made their debut and they challenged for the G Infinity Tag Team titles, which they beat the members of Bulk Orchestra, Chek, and Hayato Tamura. However, Kaz Hayashi and Minoru Tanaka, who's been a very strong tag team, has been issuing the challenge. But however, they have to get through this trios match. And I have to say, it was very impressive. It was Minoru Tanaka who applied an armbar onto Rei Saito and giving them the win. However, in the post-match, you know that they have their eyes set on the G Infinity Tag Team title. So that is something we will be paying attention when that day comes. And I'm sure that match will take place on version 6. Hopefully, if that's the case. Now, our next match, we have Strong Arts members El Lindaman and T-Hawk. They take on the members of the Black Generation International. That includes Emperado Azteca and Kotaro Suzuki. Now, keep in mind, as I said before, Black Generation International are proving once again why they are the dominant faction. However, Strong Hearts are one of the first earlier units within the promotion, and that's why they're not going to let guys like them try to take something that they built. However, Lindaman and T-Hawk have always worked cohesively as part of the strong unit, Strong Hearts, and that's why it was Lindaman with a German suplex onto Kotaro Suzuki gave them the win. Now, our main event, this is a very interesting one. This is where once again the things were put to the test. 60 seconds have been taking very pleasure with the misery that Bulk Orchestra has been going through. So basically, Tetsuya Izushi, the leader of 60 Seconds, declared this match to take place. He teams up with Keishi Sato and Jun Tonsho. They take on the members of Quiet Storm, Tamura Hayato, and what's his name? Oh yeah, and Kaza Sakamoto. And I have to say, Bulk Orchestra has changed a lot. They are trying to show why they're still the #1. However, there's been a lot of distancing from Quiet Storm, who ditched the red outfit and went purple. So even though it's still unclear whether he's still part of the group or is he planning to leave, that is still undetermined. But it was, of course, a big lariat by Tamura onto Tonsho to pick up the win. But it's still unclear what will happen to Bulk Orchestra. The thing is, as you know, they have been on a losing streak. Who knows how this is going to change or what will happen with Quiet Storm if he decides to leave. So we'll find out when the day comes. But for now, let's move on to our final review, AEW Collision. Okay, our final review, AEW Collision. This is just week 2 from the start of this whole thing. It starts out with Tony Schiavone being in the ring, but however, he was interrupted by none other than Jericho and Minoru Suzuki. However, there's a lot of been people trying to find out who is Sting and Darby Allin's third partner in their trios match. However, of course, Darby Allin goes out, grabs the mic, and tells about Sammy Guevara, that he will kick his ass when the day comes. But however, he gave a bit of a hint of a clue saying that this third partner already kicked Jericho's ass, and that hint was at the Tokyo Dome. Now, there's only 2 people in history that ever defeated Chris Jericho in the Tokyo Dome, and that is, of course, one. We know he's going to be occupied defending the IWGP United States title. That's Kenny. And the other is none other than Tranquilo himself, Tetsuya Naito. So that is something really cool. And I'm hoping if they do win their match, I would like to see them do the LIJ fist bump. That is something I would like to see. I would like to see Sting and Darby Allin do the fist bump. I'm sure that will make my wish come true. Now, we do get a little video package from none other than the Redeemer Miro. So he gives out a very interesting video package where he's saying he renounces his God, he renounces his wife. So what does that mean? Does it mean that he is now going to take matters in his own hands? Well, we just gotta wait and see what he's gonna do. Now our next match, we have Swerve Strickland versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, Swerve has been sick and tired of people taking the spotlight, but at the same time, try to cut in front of the line. And that includes, as you know, Tanahashi issued a challenge against MJF for the AEW World Title. So he might have thought that maybe with this will give him the opportunity that he deserves. But however, the ace, as you know, has been proven time and time again why he's still the ace. And of course, he finished off Swerve with the high five flow, giving him the win. However, MJF made it perfectly clear that he's going to make this match the first one of the night, because he refuses to stay in Canada. And of course, he's going to prove why New Japan Pro Wrestling is nothing but an independent show, even though it's not. It's one of the most #1 promotions in Japan. So we'll see what happens till then. Now, our next match, we have Brody King versus Andrade El Idolo. Now, ever since Andrade made his return, he faced against Brody King's teammate, Buddy Matthews, which he won. However, you know this is going to be a tough challenge for Andrade because he's facing a much bigger competitor. But this is where, of course, Andrade puts himself to the test, and not to mention his injury that he obtained. But he was able to try to apply the figure 8 leg lock onto Brody, but however, he was viciously attacked by Buddy Matthews, and the match resulted in disqualification. I'm not 100% sure if, of course, this match went directly straight to Andrade as a win, but we will probably see why the House of Black has been recently been attacking him of lately since his return. We'll see what happens till then. Now, we do get an interview with Christian Cage along with Luchasaurus about the result of what happened last week at Collision. As you know, he is saying that, this whole open challenges and all that, it ends right now, that they have to earn it, crawl the way back, and he even took shots of Cody Rhodes and all that. So he said he's going to make the TNT title the most prestigious in AEW. So we'll see about that when we get there. Now, our next match, we have the women's quarterfinals of the Owen Hart tournament. We have Willow Nightingale, our current NJPW Strong Women's Champion, taking on Nyla Rose, who is a former AEW Women's Champion. So this is going to be interesting. However, the X factor of this match is, of course, Nyla Rose has been accompanied by none other than Marina Shafir, getting in the way. But however, the most impressive thing that, of course, we saw from Willow Nightingale is when she applied the Dr. Bomb on her. I did not expect that, and that's how she picked up the win. But however, the Outcast has been waiting for her to try to take her out to make sure she is softened up before the Forbidden Door. But however, luckily for Willow, her tag partner and friend Sky Blue was able there to give the helping hand, and it ended right there with the Outcast making their message loud and clear that Willow Nightingale will not walk out as the AEW Women's Champion. Now, we do get an interview in the back. We saw the return of none other than the former TNT champion and the very first ever one half of the AEW World Tag Team titles. We're talking about Scorpio Sky. So basically, as you know, he has come back different. It's been a while since we've seen him, but he is going to do something different from what he's saying. I'm kind of excited where he's going to go, so we'll find out soon enough. Now, our next match, we can call it more of a squash match. This is between Powerhouse Hobbs and Jeremy Prophet. Now, keep in mind, Hobbs is part of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament for the men's bracket, so we will see how that goes, but he was able to finish off Prophet with the spine buster, giving him the win. Now, our main event features, of course, the Bullet Club Gold, Jay White and Juice Robinson teaming up with the Ass Boys, Colton and Austin Gunn. They take on Ricky Starks, FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood, and of course CM Punk. I have to say this match was pretty good, and they would put down the limit. But however, referee did not see what happened. Ricky Starks had the match won, but if it wasn't for, of course, this Juice Robinson with the left hand of God with coins in his hand, he would have won the match. But he probably will say that maybe this is not going to be over between them. So we'll see what happens until then. So basically, Bullet Club Gold and Ass Boys won the match. And I think that's pretty much it right now for this particular one. So let's just end it with some news updates. Alright, welcome to our news update. So, we are now been informed by Sendai Girls. As you know, I did mention that Natsupoi and Hashimoto will be having a match. Now, however, former NXT star Sareee, now go back to her old name Sareee, will be in Sendai Girls on the 16th of July, where she teams up with none other than Sayori Inoue. This is going to be an interesting matchup to see. Their opponents will be none other than Miyuki Takase and Maika Iwata. So that's going to be something very interesting to enjoy. Now, recently, today, as you know, we had very interesting developments in Pro Wrestling Noah. Kongo has announced that they will be disbanded. This is a very interesting development. Keno, who's been the leader of Kongo, one of the most strongest factions within the promotion. If you guys remember what Kongo stands for in Japanese language, it means, and you translate it to English, it means diamond. Basically, Kongo has always been one of those factions that always say that they are the real deal. They consider wrestlers like Kaito Kiyomiya and a few others that they are fake wrestlers and they are the real ones. And of course, Keno always has opinions about certain people, especially guys like Takashi Shinjiro Tagagi, who he doesn't consider him that he runs a dump of a DDT Pro Wrestling event, and so on and so on. So right now, that the members of Kongo, they will try to shine more on their own without Kongo being in the mix. So that's going to be very interesting. For any RevPro fans out there, it was announced for the Epic Encounter on the 9th of July, I believe. Yes. Zack Sabre Jr. will be in action to take on another wrestler who is a master of technical wrestling, and that is, of course, his name, Jordan Brooks. I'm looking forward to that. Wrestling Revolver has announced for the Cage of Horrors, first time ever. Roderick Strong will be in action against Speedball Mike Bailey. That is going to be a good match to enjoy. And finally, DDT Pro Wrestling has announced for the Wrestle Peter Pan show, which is their version of WrestleMania on the 23rd of July. The KOD Openweight title will be defended. Yuji Ino will defend that title against the winner of the tournament. The KOD tournament, of course, Chris Brooks. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope Chris does win this belt. He's been wrestling with DDT for who knows how long, but we'll see what happens until then. I think that's pretty much it right now with our news updates. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. As we speak today, we have the latest Stardom show happening. I will be probably reviewing that as soon as possible. And of course, we cannot forget the Forbidden Door. And I think we do have another ChocoPro show. Two recent GCW events have arisen, and there's going to be a lot of wrestling. So I will be more careful what I'm going to be doing from here on out. I know I'm going to have to make Forbidden Door, Stardom, and ChocoPro those as the top priority. But we'll see what happens until then. But we'll just end it right here. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.